Hello and welcome to Politically Incorrect Knitters, the supplemental episode for our third debate recap, including the vice presidential debate. My name is Ann Pinkava. This is the lovely Deplorable Knitter. And do we have a lot to talk about tonight?
Yeah, we do. And I just thank God the debate went the way it did last night. I could not. I was talking to my husband. I said, there's no way I can sit through another one like the first one. It was just so much arguing and so much. And I don't know how other people felt about it, but the whole mic muting thing, it wasn't what I anticipated. And I thought it actually worked out really well because the person got their 2 minutes to say whatever they wanted to say. And then there was actually time for debate. And I thought that was better. There was so much less shouting. It was really, what did you think?
I thought it was good. I thought it was, I don't know, more subtle than the other one. I mean, Trump did very well, I thought, getting facts out, talking. And I know for a fact they muted Trump's mic once. I don't know if there was like mute numbers afterwards about how many times.
Well, I don't know about them muting it at all. I'm just talking about during that first 2 minute when they get to respond. That's when they were supposed to be muted.
Right.
So I don't know if they just had restraint or whatever, but I thought it worked out well.
Yeah,
so that was nice.
I think it went well. The moderator seemed much more even keeled, that she would ask. I mean, obviously it was Democrat leading questions anyways, that was the direction of it. She asked Biden a couple hard questions. Didn't really follow up on what Biden said, which was annoying.
There wasn't a lot of asking them to fleshed out answers, like to give a really, like some of the answers were kind of lame, and then instead of like getting more info, they were like, okay, now we're going to move on. I'm like, but do we really talk about that?
Yeah. And times where, like with the previous debate, where Trump was asked to give a specific answer and then Biden was asked to just give a answer, and then when he didn't actually answer the question, it was left at that. But as a moderator, she didn't argue with either side. She didn't like butt in, I suppose. So that was much better.
But she did interrupt the president 24 times, and she only interrupted Biden twice. Oh. And that was the one thing my husband and I were griping on while watching it, that it was kind of, she would give Joe 10 seconds to answer, and he would go for the 10 seconds, and she would allow him to. She'd give the president 10 seconds to answer, and then when the 10 seconds were up, Mr. President, we have to move on. We have to move on.
Right.
But I expected it to be much worse with her. From everything I had heard about her family's political affiliation and everything, I just thought it was going to be another shit show. Excuse the language, but that's what the first one was, and I was very much expecting the second one to be one also.
Yeah, another Chris Wallace sort of a thing. It's like, oh.
Yeah. No, I thought it was good, and I liked the president. And something that you and I said when we were talking together was that, maybe the president wasn't himself the first debate because he was coming down with COVID. Because he can be very brash and aggressive, but the first debate, it was painful to watch. And I didn't have that feeling. He was much more measured in his speaking. He was asking questions of Biden, but he wasn't in that, I'm going to fight with you. I'm like, it was
right.
And he had his zingers that you expect from him. And that's what was missing from the first debate, in my opinion.
Yeah. And it was also kind of the calm, like, ooh, I'm going to ruin this man's entire career and just bam.
And I just loved how he kept bringing up, like, well, you had 8 years as vice president to do that. Oh, well, you've been a politician. That's why I got elected, because I'm not a politician. Like, these things that he kept, and he was just kind of sliding it in. Joe would say something and he'd be like, well, you had years to do that.
Right.
And he finally got him to throw Obama under the bus, which I was surprised.
I was so surprised. Well, it's part of the thing of, give Biden a little rope to hang himself, and how he would get argumentative and be like, "Oh, well, I won't be vice president, I'll be president." And, from the cheap seats, we're going, "Oh, like, are you saying that Obama wasn't the best president in these regards?" What?
Oh, I can't believe that.
I know. And then it was
What about the friendship bracelets, Joe? I thought you guys were BFFs forever. Come on.
I thought you were such good friends. And there were many things like that with, even with Obama's relationship with Putin, the worst guy ever. How evil, shouldn't you talk with your friend Putin, Trump, and back and forth. And whereas it was Barack Obama who talked with Dmitry Medvedev, I believe that's how his name's pronounced. Sorry, not good at Russian names. He was the Russian prime minister at the time. And he was caught on a hot mic saying, "Tell Vlad not to worry. I'll have more, room to negotiate after the election." And this was before his second term. Like, that sounds like somebody who's buddies with Russia, saying that Trump is so bad with foreign policy. And again, peace deals with Israel. Now Israel and the Sudan. Just came out today, and all these different things that he has done with many of our allies, and like, "Oh, well, you're so horrible." Yeah. Like, "Oh, well, Iran is now this and that." Like, who sent Iran pallets of cash? Because was not the Trump.
I don't think that was Trump. I think that may have been that other duo. Who could that have been?
Yeah. Well, and other moments where, the room, even with just a couple people on the couch, was like, "Whoa, I never took a single cent from any foreign power." Whoa.
Oh, really? You really want to go with that?
That legal corner you just backed yourself into is quite, how money laundering works, Joe? Like, and Trump laid out the mayor of Moscow's wife was a friend of Putin's, and he got the money to Hunter. Like, he was talking that whole thing like that. People know how money laundering works. And the thing that to go back a little bit, where he said that Rudy Giuliani was a Russian pawn. How about a Chinese pawn? Because on that laptop, I was watching Rudy Giuliani's podcast. I didn't even know he had a podcast. He does. He was talking about some of the things on the laptop. Not only in many nude photos of Hunter smoking crack. Somebody has a problem. You'd think you'd remember what you'd look like naked, but you need to take a lot of photos apparently. And salacious pictures of underage girls, and all of his text messages downloaded on his laptop, which have been confirmed with the people he was texting that they are in fact his.
But according to Biden, that laptop is Russian.
Right.
It's not Hunter's. You did catch that, right, during the debate?
Yes, that it's a Russian plant. But here's the thing, also on that laptop, which is again corroborated by other sources, and somebody else has come out today, they have phones. And
last night you were at work and I was watching that and I was going, Anna's gonna die. Because I was in the Facebook group and somebody was like, "You've got to watch this. Go to Fox News right now." And so I was like, "What?"
Right. Yeah. Which absolutely incredible, all this news. But Hunter Biden is, Havesies Hunter is half with the Chinese government, a Chinese bank in this corporation. And, then money goes to the big guy. Like, talk about foreign power collusion. That's incredible. And part of the thing with that, which is like some of the most massive political news, not only that, but that different Democrat leadership in America has been listed as contacts, including Kamala Harris, including Chuck Schumer. Like, that is incredible news. Like, that should be front page everywhere, and they are trying to shove it to the side as fast as possible. Like, oh, well, that's nothing. Oh, well, that's nothing. And part of that, so many different things that Hunter Biden said were flat out lies and the party line lies. Like, going down the line of, oh, well, this number, that number. And it's very, like, oh, well, this is the truth according to the Democrat Party. And then Trump would say something. And if you never fact checked Joe Biden at all, and you were just a Democrat voter who just listened to, the MSNBC, and then you listened to Joe Biden tonight, you'd be like, oh, well, he's true. And Trump is such a liar, and not think a second thing of it, which, you'd hope that what Trump said that people would want to look into it. But there is still that shield you have to break through with Trump is such a liar. That there's a certain, we're trying, you try to reach people. There's a certain amount of people that, oh, no, Trump is evil no matter what. I do believe that there are reachable people still, even with early voting. But
one thing during the debate that my husband my husband tends to get very fired up about this stuff. So we'll be watching it like normal people, and then all of a sudden he's shouting. And one of the things that he continually shouted throughout the debate was, what rules? Because Joe kept saying things like, oh, well, if I'm president, they'll have to follow the rules. And my husband just kept going, but what rules? What are the rules? Who makes the rules? Who decides who follows them? Like, Biden had all of these things that he just, I kept hoping that he would really hang himself at the end, but he never really got there. Like, he'd stutter, he kind of flip-flop and whatever, but he has enough of his Democratic catchphrases that he was able to more or less be coherent throughout. There were some portions where he wasn't exactly, but I'll make them follow the rules. I'll make them pay. I'll make them, and
it
sounds good, but like, what does that mean?
Excuse me, Mr. Biden. That sounds very, like you said, what rules? But he said several times controls. And I'm like, well, I'll make them. I'll change the rules. There was several of that. And, like, oh, well, China is going to play by the rules, and North Korea is going to play by the rules, and in order for them to play by the rules, they're going to totally give up their entire nuclear arsenal, just for the pleasure of talking to you, Joe. I'm sure of it. That's not how coming to the table works. Like, you talk first, and then.
But if that's how it works, then he had 8 years. He had 8 years to get the arsenals from these people. Right. So it goes back to the stuff the president was saying. Like, what did you do? What have you done with your time? You were already there.
Yeah, and one of the things that I really appreciated about the specific North Korean issue is that, Trump saying, okay, you need to talk to these people. It's kind of an iffy relationship, but, like, Trump knew that, he said from Obama, it was looming potential nuclear war, which means, once the talking stops, the fighting begins. So you want to keep talking. You want to negotiate. You want to, talk through these issues. Even though it's a potbelly dictator, you got to talk to him. Okay, there's no, you can't back away from that. And there were certain things happening. I mean, obviously, Trump had his full staff and everything with him. It was the first time during that visit that a North Korean dictator had ever taken a question from outside press. That's something. Like, it's
a big deal.
It's not
talk about it.
Right. It's not the be all and end all. Clearly there's a lot more steps. But Trump came in and he wanted to make it better. He wanted to begin something. And Reagan did the same thing with Russia, that Reagan sat down and talked with them. And you really need that, even though, I mean, these guys are, the extent of horrors. There are so many former North Koreans who are very pro-Trump, very thankful. There was one in the State of the Union address that they were talking about, and previous State of the Union addresses, I believe more so. But what Trump, Trump is horrible. He's xenophobic, this, that. And what did Trump say? We can't risk nuclear war. Seoul is right there. Like, what Biden was like, this, that, and Trump said, but Seoul. Like, we can't allow North Korea to have a nuclear war, even if it is just with South Korea or with Japan, or if it's just a regional thing. That is unacceptable in Trump's mind. That it's America first, but America first also promotes America's allies, and peace in the world is in America's best interest.
That is correct. I was happy that the moderator went. I know that she already had her questions pre-planned and everything, but with some of the developments that had happened right away, she did ask more questions than I had anticipated. She didn't hold Joe's feet to the fire, but she kind of started to go there. Like, I don't think that it was thoroughly investigated, but she at least she was asking some tougher questions. Mm-hmm. Yeah, like you said, they were democratically, Trump had to backpedal almost and say, well, that's not exactly what I believe, before he could even answer, but it wasn't as bad as the first time around.
Right. I mean, you have very obvious leading questions, like, the one about the talk, where apparently only people with a certain color of skin tell their kids that when a policeman pulls them over, you keep your hands on the steering wheel and you're polite. I'm like, everybody knows that. Like, everybody is told that either by their parents or somebody else. Like, that is a thing.
Right. I mean, and you're always polite and respectful.
Right.
And I also am terrified anytime I get pulled over. And I got pulled over once when I was pregnant because of the tint on my car.
Oh,
I was driving to my hometown from a city. Mm-hmm. And because of my tint, the officer said, well, your car looked slightly suspicious and we get a lot of drugs down this road. And so he pulled me over, and I was like 8 months pregnant. I was huge. And I'm like, yeah, no, he's like, oh, you got over there on your passenger seat. I'm like, baby supplies? Like, I had like gone baby shopping that day. I'm like, yeah, no. Uh-huh. But like, I would never be like, dude, I don't have any. Why would I do that? Right. Like, I am polite because that's what you do.
Mm-hmm. Yep. People get rude. People do whatever. Just happy, nice, polite interaction. Thank you. Have a nice day. We're done. There's no, I don't know. It's ridiculous to think that doing things like keeping hands on the wheel and politeness to officers is a racial issue, and that was a little forced. And also the question of poor neighborhoods around oil facilities was really out of left field. We have to hurry along because we have so many questions to ask. Are we going to ask about guns, maybe about Second Amendment rights? Mentioned that all that Joe Biden has on his website, that he's not going to allow any online sale of guns or anything to do with guns. So even grips and holster, whatever, no more online sales. Are we going to talk about that? No, we're not going to talk about that. We're going to do people specifically who live around oil rigs. And, obviously Trump was surprised by that, but.
Yeah, no, it was messed up, but I did like that question did lead to the whole fracking debate though. So I get where it was out of left field, but then it turned into the whole thing where we got Biden to flat out insist that he never said he was going to get rid of fracking. Right. And then I've seen this beautiful montage of him saying over and over and over again, we are going to stop it. Mm-hmm. So that did come out of it. I did enjoy that part thoroughly.
Right. I'm not going to, no, I'm not going to, oh, I did. And also with the super predators. Oh, I never said that. And, Trump's like, yeah, there's video of it, Joe. And it's like, I never said that. Oh, I'll text it to you.
And then I watched Hannity right after the debate, and Hannity's like, so Joe said for the president to put it on the website, but we're not going to even make you do that if you wait right here. And he played all of it. Hannity played all of it for us last night, so you didn't even have to go to the president's website. But
right.
It's just, man, the stuff is ridiculous, and the fact that they are just so willing to lie, and just repeat the party line as much as they can. I mean, that's not anything different than what I expected, but
right. One of the funniest post-debate things for me is the compilation of blue checkmark people who, when Trump says coyotes bringing people over the border, they're like, how could a dog even drag a whole child? And I'm like, what? That
was a thing.
Yes.
I was too busy today. I did not watch any more recaps. I should have spent more time, but
no, I mostly saw it on Instagram, but it is, again, blue checkmark people. These are lawyers and influencers and everybody else. And Trump's talking about coyotes now. He's out of his mind. What is he talking about? And
for real?
Yes. And it's like, well, that first of all shows that you're very out of touch with what is happening at the border. And again, children can be, I was just looking at some statistics, can be rented for as little as $120, because if you're with a kid, there is more likelihood of you getting through the border. So these kids are recycled. They keep on, so you get them over with one kid, the guy who is you're paying to get you over the border, brings the kid back with them and brings more people over. And other horrible statistics, I mean, there is 1 in 3 women and children are sexually abused as they go over the border by these coyotes. Okay, that is the term. That is what happens. And that is a major crisis. And, there's people saying that, everyone should just go over the border and be fine. Well, what about that abuse? Are you bringing that up? That's really important.
That's a crazy statistic that I had not heard, but
many people who come over are not just, I'm going to cross the border and I'm going to live whatever I want to do in America is going to be awesome. I'm just going to go over and I'll be illegal, but whatever chance I have, I'll take. Many people who come over the border are then human trafficked. That this isn't, you just cross the border and you're home free. Again, there's some cases of that, but if you're going through this illegal way, it's a multi-billion-dollar industry actually to get people over the border as well. But this is part of, when they say drugs and criminals and gang members come over the border. Okay, there are people who are coming over the border who are looking for a better life. Yes, but there's also all of these problems at the border, and you can't brush all of them to the side because there's this idyllic people looking for a bright future in America. You have to look at the whole thing, and that is why the importance of people coming over legally comes in.
Yep. And through that whole debate about how people are coming over, once again, it was brought up about the cages, and it was another zinger from Trump where he was able to say, but those were from you guys. Like, he didn't harp on a lot of subjects, but the way he brought them up, I thought was very good. It wasn't even argumentative. It was just very like, but Joe, that was you. It was just very matter of fact, and I appreciated that. And I don't know.
Well, the one I really appreciated was Biden is talking about, well, to back up a little bit, the discussion on COVID, when, Biden begins with saying 220,000 people have died of COVID. Numbers are around there, but that might be a little overestimation depending on your sources. Another estimated number is 400,000 people may have died from problems in the lockdown, which is suicides and drug overdoses and not getting your cancer screenings and stuff such as that. But continuation from that, Biden is painting this very bleak picture of America. And that was throughout his entire speech, that his entire debate performance was America is very bleak. It's all just dirty faces trying to look up towards the sun, and nothing can be done without the government's help. You must get money from the government as you lose your job in Scranton, your honest union job, which you no longer have, and you're dying of the COVID because it's all Trump's fault, because he didn't shut down soon enough, but wait, we're going to open with plexiglass, and back and forth, and you are just waiting for you can't even get a job if the government doesn't give you a job. And then this is the picture he's painting, we're not learning to live with COVID. We're dying with COVID. And then he says, Americans do not panic. Well, what were you talking about? Because that sounded somewhat panic inducing. Maybe it's no longer panic. Maybe it's just a smothered misery. Like there's no, what's going on here?
Yeah. I felt much worse after hearing him talk about it, actually.
Yeah.
Everything's so terrible.
Right. Just chalk up my ongoing depression to the Obama era. I'm like, oh, I know this feeling. Oh, it's this is the feeling that induced interior designers to paint their walls concrete gray. Who did this? But who made that chic? Terrible ideas. But that you have this but one of my favorite moments was he's saying that there's an empty seat at the kitchen table, and the husband is reaching over for his wife and while the president can't say everything, I'm like, what about Ann Dorn? Let's talk about her. But skipping over that. And then Trump totally called him on it. Said everything but what a load of garbage. Like, this is exactly what a political candidate says. I'm here because I'm not a political candidate. And Biden's, no plan, no plan, no plan. I don't know. Like, what have I been talking about? What has every single coronavirus press conference that has been given been talking about? Because he's talking about plans. Trump is talking about what's he going to do. And Biden's talking about wear a mask and that will solve everything.
Yeah. But I think that the president brought up a couple times that he's not a politician. And I think that that's important because a lot of people found that appealing. Mm-hmm. And it's a good reminder.
Yep.
Because, man, freaking Biden, he's talking about all that stuff. And I hate when he's like, oh, at the kitchen table, my husband and I are like, this is such crap. Because it's just a line. He's not saying that because he really cares if somebody is missing at your kitchen table. He's saying that because he wants to play on your little heartstrings.
Right.
You could be like, oh, this is so sad. No, it's crap.
Right.
You're crap.
Exactly. And he's trying to paint a picture, just like he said, if I'm driving, I don't believe he mentioned Scranton at this point. I suppose my mother's driving me through the rain and there's an oil slick on the window. And I'm like, fact check that. I do not believe you. Like, I don't.
Well, and the president called him out on being like not barely living in Scranton too, which I like because he tries to play this, oh, I'm just a regular guy thing. Oh, except for, the $16.5 million that I got in the past 3 years. But I'm just a regular guy like you guys.
I'm just a regular guy. I just have my nice little family who all get millions of dollars from various corporations. And me and Jill, who I married after I had an affair with her while she was married to somebody else, and my son Hunter, who does crack. And we're all just sitting around our little cozy round kitchen table with the little floral napkin holder, telling each other about our day as we sip our morning coffee. Like, this is our happy Biden family.
So, once again, I just want to say, if any of the President Trump's kids were crack addicts, do you think anybody in the media could ever let it go? Ever?
Oh, no.
Ever? Nobody ever talks about it with Hunter, though. Nobody cares. It's fine.
No, and
The double
again,
standard just irks me so badly.
and again, it's just, the guy, he has some issues, and Biden is going on about, oh, drug crimes. They shouldn't put drug criminals in jail. They need rehab. Did you check your son in? Because he needs a lot. Maybe instead of sending him around with foreign powers who are whining and dining him, maybe,
Giving him crack.
Giving him crack. That's the best, that's the best way to control a crack addict. Give him more crack. And maybe, and that is with many different, drug addictions and alcohol addictions that, maybe if, someone, you may not want them to have large amounts of money because they buy crack. It's something you have to worry about with certain people. So it's like, there's so much money and so many drugs. There's so many drugs going on.
Everywhere.
Yeah. So,
so anyway, the debate.
The debate. Sorry. Just thinking about the, Christmas turkey in this situation where we're all saying what we're thankful for. And, cheers to the Chinese Communist Party who bankrolled this party. And, sorry, it's the debate we're really talking about. I thought it was, speaking of Joe Biden throwing certain people under the bus, I thought it was funny when, Trump is talking about healthcare plans and saying it's a Bernie Sanders plan and it didn't even work out in his state. And Joe Biden's like, you're not debating Bernie Sanders, you're debating me because I won and I beat all those people and all of those loyal Bernie bros in the audience.
Yeah, he really, I think the president did actually get him flustered a few times. And when he got pushed a lot, that's when he started, that the healthcare plans it's not Obamacare, it's Biden care, and it's not what Bernie did. You're not debating him. And like, he just, he kind of lost it and got a little bit. Look, if that was my friend, if you were talking to someone on a podcast without me and you're like, dude, that's all DK, I don't want to do any of that, I'd be pissed.
I know.
So bad.
Be like, wow, I can't believe, the things that she wants to do. Like, I don't know. And be like, that's it.
Oh my gosh. I'd be like, well, that's over. And I mean, Obama's been stumping for him.
Mm-hmm. Bernie has been giving speeches for him.
You're right. Yeah. I've seen him out too. So, dude, you got 11 days left. And what, we're just lighting everything on fire? Burning down those bridges, whatever.
And I know that because, I follow certain liberal people on the internet, and how many of them are saying that they're kind of holding their nose to vote for Biden because they don't really like him, but, okay, vote for the Democratic candidate if you want the Democratic agenda. And these people were Obama fans, and these people were Bernie fans, and these people, those would have been their preferred candidates, and you're insulting them. People don't like you that much, Joe. That's
the thing. He, like, in the first debate, he said, I'm the Democratic Party. In this debate, he said, no, I'm the guy that's up for election. Me, Joe Biden. Like, he was a little bit crazy about it. But I don't know how you are. You're technically not the Democratic Party, and nobody really likes you. Like, I still don't understand how he got in.
Right. And especially since so many of his of the previous policies that he has put forward and talked about, and his policies in this election, what it says on his website are very much Bernie Sanders and AOC and the Green New Deal, and all of that are very much the center of those policies, and things that Joe Biden of maybe 5 years ago, while he was vice president, he may have not even been for at that time. That the Democrat Party, I believe, thinks that the extreme left of their party is the way forward. And you see that with critical race theory, and you see that with a lot of different issues. And Democrats are looking at that and coming to a certain point, not all of them, but with the walkaway campaign, that there is a increasing number of Democrats who are like, I'm sorry, I can't go that far. I can't support that.
Yeah, they still have, there are some things that people just aren't going to accept.
Right. Yeah, in political affiliations and in relationships and things, like, we've probably, many of us have had that friend with, oh, well, they're getting a little crazy lately, but I'm sure they're fine. And then you get to the second of, well, actually, they're being really horrible to me. With political parties and friendships and jobs and other things, there's many times a certain point where it's like, this is not so great, but I'll keep on going. I'm still their friend. I'm still whatever. It's not so bad working here. And then it sort of gets the slow, like, actually, this is unacceptable and I'm leaving. And
right.
I think the Democrat Party has done that for a lot of people recently.
Well, and it's like the idea of a workplace. I worked in a place for many years, and it was like that. Like, I liked it in the beginning, and then as time went on, I was like, and then all of a sudden I was like, oh my God, I have to leave. Like right now. It doesn't happen all at one time. You kind of like, one day you wake up and you're like, why am I still here? What happened?
Like, actually.
But all in all, I thought the president was on point. I thought he was well-spoken. I thought he had very good points, and I thought he brought a lot of doubt what he was saying without being maybe as over the top as he is sometimes. And I know that a lot of the people who are really big fans of him like that he's so brash, but also I could see that he was trying to appeal to maybe people who aren't in his direct base, people who are like, man, I really, really don't like Biden, but I don't necessarily like Trump. And I thought that he struck a good balance of that.
Right. And I mean, he still had a couple of his jokes that he'll bring up in the rallies that, he's done more for the Black community than anyone except Lincoln, that he brought that up. And really the incredible, people kind of forget about the importance of economic liberty in liberties generally. Think of direct liberties, like, oh, we fought a war for freedom, but also the amount of economic pressure that can be put in people in a country versus economic freedom when regulations and taxes and things are lifted away. It's incredible, and it has done so much to lift up everybody in America, but also the Black community and people of every ethnicity and background. But for the sake of this discussion, that it has also helped the Black community. And he brought that up, and I thought it was so funny when Biden went, oh, well, Abraham Lincoln here is, and then he listed off how evil and horrible Trump is. And Trump's like, you just call me Lincoln as an insult? Like, what, Joe?
Yeah, Joe just doesn't quite get the, he doesn't quite get the zingers. He's a little slow.
Right. But anyways, I'm like, that is the best comeback, though. It's like, I'll take being called Lincoln all day. Like, all right.
Like, whatever.
Like, that's cool.
That's the best you got. I'm all for it.
Uh-huh. But yeah, I thought it was funny.
It was.
But yeah, that and the not so much as a funny, but a scream at the television moment when he says that, when Biden said that he'd give a pathway to citizenship for 11 million illegal immigrants in the first 100 days. It was like, whoa!
God. Dude, this is what I took away from the debate. Ready?
Ready.
If he wins, we are all screwed. That's all. We're going to be broke from taxes. We're going to be broke from medical coverage. We're going to be broke from the Green New Deal. There's not going to be any natural oil, gas production in our country. We're going to be beholden to China and Russia and anybody else that has got to help us.
Also, incredibly, it helps Russia and Iran if we don't have oil production in America. So though I'm going to stop fracking. Oh, well, those Iranian mullahs are like, yes.
Exactly. No, but that was my main takeaway, was that if, like, I wouldn't vote for him anyway, but seriously, my husband and I have been talking about it. Like, what is going to happen if he wins? Like, really, what is going to happen to our country?
Yeah.
It's terrifying. But
Yeah. And again, that old familiar feeling when Obama was in office, like, oh,
gonna be worse than when Obama was in
I
office.
know,
It's gonna
because
be. I mean, we had dinner with our friends tonight, and I was talking to them, and they said to me, "Did you guys watch the debate?" And I'm like, "Of course we watched the debate. Ann and I have to podcast about it tonight." And they were like, "Oh, we turned it off because we just couldn't stand listening to Joe and his lies." And the wife was like, "I'm just terrified of what's going to happen." And I think that that's what most people who agree with us feel.
right. And I saw today it was a pin that somebody had done a map, because when you donate to Trump, your name and address are there. So done a map of Trump supporters in your area, in case you want to get together for Molotov cocktails later. That it was clearly a threat to Trump supporters.
That's terrifying.
Yeah. And I mean, I think the point is to terrify people to not donate and not support Trump. But do you want the sort of people who will then threaten you for who you vote for to be in charge? I mean, that I think is more terrifying. That there's
Well, the whole thing, the fact that they could even put that out there and threaten people, it's just, I mean, there's been a letter going around on Instagram about, well, we see you have a Trump sign in your yard. We will come to you if he wins. You've been warned.
Yeah, I've seen and I believe it's in the Kansas City area, but it is, make sure that you have fire insurance, and remember, you started it for being anti-democratic. Like, you're against democracy because you vote, which is democracy, for Trump. That is your fault that they throw a brick or whatever else through your window. It's you're the problem.
Yes, it's your fault because you don't agree with us, which I think is the absolute opposite of what's supposed to happen here.
Right.
So,
They're super free, super democracy are the people throwing bricks through your window.
Freaking nonsense, man.
That everything, and I mean, there's been many other people saying that after the election, we need, what is it, a Truth and Reconciliation Commission, so people can, so people will be forced to admit their sins. It is so Orwellian, it's crazy.
God, I can't even. So are we going to have the Ministry of Love now?
Yes, you can only be reconciled to your right-thinking Americans if you admit that you were wrong thinking, and then, give up everything you thought before. And everything will be happy once you do this.
Okay, friends. So if Biden wins, from what Anna's saying, the best bet is to go get a copy of 1984 and read it so you know what to expect. Because it's going to be. It's unfortunate. And are the people who are in the wrong think camp, so it's going to be bad.
And again, if you haven't voted, make sure you do, in fact, get out and vote. Very important. I know everyone's telling you this. You may be saying, my vote doesn't count. But alas, my friends, we are knitters. You may say that a stitch doesn't count, but look, you got a whole dang sweater. So please be a part of that happy sweater and vote. Do that. Good thing. And for Trump, I'll out and out say it. Do. Please. Thank you.
Yes, yes. Every vote counts, and the last one was pretty close. So let's make sure that it's not this time, even with their cheating and their nonsense.
Mhm.
And the one thing I can say, you keep hearing all these stories about people who are voting for Trump who didn't last time. Have you heard of any people that you know of that are voting for Biden that voted for Trump last time?
Not that I've heard of.
Me neither. So I have hope, but freaking vote because this is a bunch of nonsense. My God. Well, now I'm depressed. I'm gonna go.
Hey, there's a great big beautiful tomorrow shining at the end of every day. Because again, Trump did say that we're going to have healthcare. It's going to be beautiful healthcare. It's going to be great healthcare.
And
Every
he's still the
time.
president.
That's right. No nonsense given.
All right. So, like, comment, subscribe if you want to hear more of our political insight or knitting. We talk about that most of the time
We
too.
do. We do. It's mostly knitting.
And thanks for joining us, and we will talk to you later.
All right. Have a good day,
All
guys.
right.
Bye.
Bye.